on. Now we are in business. Welcome to Politics Done Right, folks. We had a little technical difficulties in the beginning. This is Politics Done Right with Egberto Willis, but guess who we have in the studio? The one and only Dwayne Bradley, former manager of KPFT. And wait, just say hello, but I want to say a little preamble.
Hello.
Good. No, a little better than that, Dean. Okay.
Hello, Egberto. No, I'm happy to be here on this brand new house, the Growing Pains.
Yes.
You have to expect that. We've only been on the air, what?
A
week and a couple of days?
Yeah.
So, there's still people working on the other side of the glass that are putting wires and nails and boards together. So it's a work in progress, as we all are.
Yeah.
But this literally is a work in progress, and we're actually riding the bicycle while we are continuing to build it.
Absolutely. Beforehand, I want to just tell folks to start calling in now. 713-526-5738. Hit the number 2 if you want to talk to us. Talk about whatever subject that you want to talk about. But also, if you could be so kind, we are in...
Hit the number 1.
Hit... There you go. Hit the number 1 and say what. You know what? I'm going to leave this to you because you do that so much better than I can.
Well, this is new to me. This call in to 526 KPFT, 713 JAM KPFT. Then the robot says, hit 1 to
donate,
make a pledge. Hit 2 to get on the air. So in whichever order,
right.
If you have something burning you need to share, well, maybe you have some dollars in your pocket that are burning a hole in it. Share that. Then hit the number 2 and come on the air and talk about why you find value in KPFT, why it's important that a commercial-free, community-driven radio enterprise is something that you'd be willing to invest in, why that has value, why it's important in these days. A lot of young people, radio for them is... an antique. It is a mechanism of antiquity. My son took his first steps over in the lobby at Lovett Boulevard. That was about 34 years ago.
Wow.
And, his media diet includes a lot of things, but radio is a rare piece of that, although there's a lot of podcasts involved. Well, what does KPFT do? We podcast a lot of these programs. I know Open Journal, the program I work on, we podcast each episode out, depending on how many guests we have. It'll be 1 or 2 podcasts a week. And that's something that is the future of radio. We know that's part of the evolution of this medium. But right now, right here, and what I've always argued is that radio is arguably one of the most democratic means of mass dissemination of information and culture. KPFT does it well, has done it well for over 52 years, and it's important to invest in something that you believe in, that you find value in. So if you're out there listening right now, perhaps you are the one person listening for whom this is all true, and if you call 713-526-5738, 526 KPFT or JAM KPFT, you'll have that option of first making a donation. Every single dollar counts. Every single dollar is important. It costs thousands of dollars a month to run a 100,000-watt full-powered FM radio station in the 4th largest city in the United States. And as we continue to build this ship that we're sailing live on the air, we ask for your support. And we also ask for your participation on both levels. This particular hour, your show, Egberto, is all about participation. That participation is facilitated by donations made by people yesterday, last month, last year, last decade, last century, who donated all the way back to the birth of KPFT in March of 1970. So every one of you listening, every one of us involved as volunteers, it's all important. I mean, there's not a paid staff member left here at KPFT. This is all a labor of love. Marlo's in there answering the phones. She's the volunteer program director. Sandy's sitting at the board engineering the show on the other side of the glass from us right now. He's the volunteer interim general manager. You are a volunteer producer of this show. I am a volunteer producer of a show.
Actually, you know what? Since we're talking about shows, why don't you tell them when your show is and how to get to your show? Because one of the things is now that we are back on air live, a lot of folks are, where are things? So, I mean, yeah.
We were on this very hour 2 weeks ago. We'd been on for a couple of years at noon to 1 on Wednesday. We are now on Monday evening at 6. We'd been on Monday evening at 6 for most of the past 5 years. But for over a year and a half, we'd been on Wednesdays. Monday evening, 6 p.m., Open Journal. And that's where we are now. We come on right after Susan Darrow and Border Radio on the Monday edition of that show. And it's a good hour. Open Journal, if you're not familiar with it, is a radio magazine. My co-hosts and other production staff members, all of us volunteers, 5 of us, we book guests, art, culture, news, politics, whatever is something that comes across our attention that we think we want to expand upon. And we have 1 or 2 conversations each week. If it's 2 different guests, we'll visit with each one for 20 to 25 minutes. If it's 1, we'll spend 45 or 50 minutes on one topic. It might be, as it was a week ago, our guests were Sister Maureen O'Connell from the Dominican Sisters and a young woman named Reina Anderson from the University of St. Thomas Center for Faith and Culture. They were working together with the Sisters of Charity of the Incarnate Word to put together a program on the environment that was held at the Dominican Chancery Building at Alameda and Holcomb this past Saturday. It was a free half-day deep dive with panels and keynote speakers on air, land, water, our future, and how we can save this planet by working together and getting motivated, and some practical tools and connecting people up. And it was a really wonderful conversation with these folks who were helping organize it. And those are the kind of things we do. So Open Journal, we refer to it as a radio magazine because we open it up. My co-host and I, each week, I've
actually been on the show and I loved it. I mean, it's real calm and absolutely.
Yeah, we banter. My co-host and I banter about items in the news, and we give a few calendar tips on things we think are cool coming up in the next week. Then we have our guest. In the middle of the hour, we play a local music bit, 1 song a week. I get to be a DJ. And then at the end of the hour, we send everyone onward by sharing an inspirational thought or something to make you think. The thought of the week is what closes the show every week.
Well, I also want to talk to you about something, and that is how I actually got the Politics Done Right at your behest, really. I gave a proposal, 2-3 page proposal, and I did my dues working for Think Wing Radio, but I was happy that you looked at the thing and said, "Yeah, come on, and join the fold."
I feel really blessed that in my role as general manager for those 15 plus years, that I encountered a lot of really great people. You amongst them, who came into KPFT's orbit for whatever reason. You found yourself there as a volunteer, maybe helping out on another program, but you had ideas of your own. You made a proposal, and I've discovered way back in the 1980s that oftentimes you just have to be present.
Right.
Presente.
Presente.
If you're there when there's a need, then there's an opportunity that you might have, and that's the way it works.
And that, thanks for that. Now, I want to tell folks, give us a call at 713-526-5738 right now, 713-526-5738, and hit 1 to start with a pledge if you can, but if you need to kind of tell us why you love KPFT or you want to talk about some current event real quickly, you can hit the 2 and we'll talk to you here, but we really need to start raising some funds for this. Actually, we have a huge we have a huge meet that we have to get. So if you'd call 713-526-5738, please make a pledge. It can be very inexpensive, and you know what? I brought in some offers here, some books here
inducements.
Yes, some inducements here. So what I'd like to say is, I have, for the kind of politics that we cover here on Politics Done Right, and there are 3 books here that I've written that I would like to give great offers that really helps out KPFT. And remember, all these offers mean you can pay this stuff in increments, right? You don't have to pay it all at once. But if you get the book, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, which talks about capitalism and how our economy works, etc., patent system in a very easy to understand manner, a $120 pledge. When you call into that 713-526-5738, a $120 pledge gives you that book. We know that what you're doing is helping us out. For us to be able to make a change in this society, we have to be able to talk to everybody, our right-wing neighbors, our left-wing neighbors, our every kind of neighbor. You have to have people that are willing to listen to you. In that light, we have the book, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors. How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors. That is also a $120 pledge. And likewise, we have How to Make, after we've spoken to our neighbors, they're going to want to know, wait, how can we change America to make America good for everybody? That's why we have the other book called How to Make America Utopia. Take away the economy from those who rigged it. That also is a contribution to KPFT for $120. Guess what? If you call right now, 713-526-5738, or you go to kpft.org, it's all listed there. One book at $120. A contribution of $120, and remember, you can do this over time. 2 books, a contribution of $200, and 3 books, a contribution of $250. All 3 books for the contribution of $250. Remember, these are contributions to an important station, a community radio station that is really there for you to participate. As you see, Dwayne, the former manager of KPFT, I was just this guy coming in with an internet show. I had a proposal for Ernesto and Dwayne, and they looked at it, they liked it. I paid my dues supporting other shows and engineering for other shows, and they gave me a shot. You can have a shot, but we have to be a family here working together to move this station forward. There are not many, or I don't know of any options in this vicinity that gives this option, Dwayne.
No, there really aren't any. That's why you don't know them, because it's a pay-to-play world.
Mm-hmm.
At KPFT, it doesn't really work that way, but we do have things that have to be paid for, like the light bill, like tower rent, and things like that. So the overhead is real. Imagine we're in an old house that was built in 1930. We're still moving in. We're still, it's not completely decorated. It's not completely worked out yet, but it's a work in progress. But we do have a home, and we're in it after 2.5 years in exile. I don't know what it was like for you, because you've been doing a program outside of KPFT for quite a while, back to Netzroot Nation and all that. So it's maybe a different sense for you, but for those of us on Open Journal, we really liked the fact that we could come to this little house together down in Montrose on Lovett Boulevard each week, and we demanded, you want to be on Open Journal, then you have to show up at 5:30 in the evening on a Monday, and you've got to spend the next hour and a half with us, depending on whether you're guest number 1 or number 2. If you're the second guest and you're not even coming on till 6:30, you still have to be there no later than 5:45, because we have to know before the thing starts if we're going to have a guest. And that live radio aspect was one thing. The camaraderie of all of us being in the same room at the same time, having that full body English communication. To me, that was always really important. And when we had to start doing it on Zoom back in March of 2020, I wasn't sure if I really even wanted to do this anymore. But we took it on as an adventure, and we discovered, one, we're still seeing the people. It's not as immersive as being in the same room and sharing the same space and breathing the same air. But actually, with COVID, that was a blessing that we weren't doing that. But but we were able to see them. We were able to have guests come in more conveniently because we took time and produced the segments over the course of each week. So it didn't have to be live each day at this certain time in this one place or else. We had guests. I remember interviewing this woman who works in a museum up in Dallas, and she'd just written this amazing book about Iceland, which, strangely enough, has the highest per capita number of museums of any place on Earth.
Yeah,
thousands of museums in a relatively small, like a couple 100,000 people live on the entire country. And it was a fascinating conversation. She was supposed to have come to Brazos Bookstore to do an event for this book, but couldn't.
Let me stop you for one quick second. Hold the thought. 713-526-5738. Again, folks, that is 713-526-5738. Please call. Press 1 if you want to contribute something, which we would love for you to contribute. Any from a $40 contribution to be a member, or you can take advantage of the books that I spoke about earlier. So please give us a call at 713-526-5738. In the house at Politics Done Right. Here we have our former manager, Dwayne Bradley. I'm happy to be sitting next to him and discussing some of his adventures, not only in the past, but some of his adventures with the show here. Continue, my friend. I just wanted to put that in.
So yeah, what I was getting at was we learned that it's actually turned into a blessing, and so we had to learn new skill sets. We had to operate in a different way. Now we're having to relearn how to ride this particular bicycle of coming back into a live scenario on Monday evenings at 6 o'clock. And it's going to take a little bit of adjustment. And anyone who's been listening to KPFT over the last 10 days knows that this is a bit of an adjustment. The rooms don't sound the same. The wiring and everything is still
we're
being
still
tweaked.
wiring.
And we're still here though, and we're here together and in the same space, and that's a great thing. So we've moved from 419 Lovett to 4504 Caroline Street, but it's amazing to me how much this new house is similar to the old house. It's different in a few ways, but oddly enough, Caroline is a lot like Lovett Boulevard. It has an esplanade, just like Lovett Boulevard. It's laced with old homes from around the Roaring '20s, pre-Depression, that have been populated by law offices and things like Lovett Boulevard is. And hopefully they won't all get torn down and blown up for townhouses like Lovett Boulevard.
Gentrification, we have to watch for gentrification. But you know what? Let me just tell you that I think that, folks, 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738. Our long, hard-working Howard is trying to close a door as softly as possible. He is such a great guy that he's trying to not... I mean, we are still building in progress, and he's just doing so well. Hey, brother, how you doing? Now... Yeah, tell our online audience hello here. This is our one and only engineer out there really making things happen around this studio. We couldn't do it without this man. This man works so very hard. So please call 713-526-5738 because, my friends, we have to make sure to keep guys like this around. We couldn't be on air without this guy. We just had some problems a few minutes ago. He got it solved in 3 minutes. Brother, thank you.
Well, my pleasure.
Absolutely, my friend.
I had to do this to get this great show on air.
Yeah, well, we are doing what we need to do. So, folks, call 713-526-5738 right now and hit 1 to contribute. 2, if you want to tell me something quickly. Hey, do you really love KPFT? Thank you, Howard. Do you really love KPFT? Give us a call. Even if you are not able to donate right now, let me see that phone ring and hit that 2 and just say hello or something. 713-526-5738. 713-526-5738. I'm in the house right now with El Señor. Are we okay? We are in the house right now with El Señor Dwayne Bradley. That voice, that voice that we know very well. But yeah, Dwayne, we've been around for a very long time, and somehow we make it We always have to live by our shoestrings, but somehow we make it. And I tell you, the most important part about making it is because of the volunteerism that we have in this environment, with all the people that are here. Everybody puts in a hell of a lot of hours to make sure that we can keep community radio on air. But this is not only about community radio. We have the music that you hear from Rourke, the music that you hear from many others is so much different than what you hear on on-air radio. The ability for us to put out points of view that are not allowed on corporate radio. The ability for us to discuss issues in detail that no one else wants to discuss is such a reason why we must stay on air and why we ask you so kindly to contribute and make sure things stay doing.
713-526-5738, 713-526-KPFT, or 713-JAM KPFT. You'll have the option, 1, go to the donate button, then 2, come on air and talk to us. Tell us why you donated. Or if you want to do it in reverse, hit the 2 first, and come on air and talk to us about why you're thinking about making a donation or why you're going to. Or maybe even try coming on and telling us why you're not going to, and challenge us to convince you of otherwise.
I like when you use that word challenge. I love that challenge. And not only that, make sure that we are providing that service to you. We think we are, but if there's more that we need to do, let us know. Let's go to Sam Weekly. Sam Weekly, come on in, my friend. How are you doing this afternoon? Sam Weekly, you are going to be hot in a second. As soon as it turns red, I know you are here. Anyhow, as they put that together, we always get it done in the long run. Sam, you are hot.
Oh, hi there.
Hi.
Hey, I used to work with a crew of people that was sort of the maintenance workers at the old Lovett Boulevard studio. I met Dwayne many times there.
Hey,
Yes.
Sam.
You know, fixing windows, unclogging toilets and such.
Whatever it took. I remember that, Sam. Yeah, the building committee. And, Debbie from up in Willis is reconstituting that along with Mike and Callie from Magnolia. And
Yeah, Mike and Kelly, I remember well.
yeah, Debbie and Scott, Mike and Callie, Bill, myself, and a number of others are going to be doing that. They've already been here helping clean the building up so that it could be usable last Monday when things started, or Saturday a week ago when things started back here in this building. So yeah, that's a work in progress operation too, but they've been here, Debbie and her son Brandon have put in a lot of hours already. So you should, you should leave Marlo your contact information in case Debbie doesn't have it, because I don't know that I do. But rather than ask you to do that over the air, I would say...
No, you don't want to do that over the air.
Yeah, I would say not, yeah.
You're right. Well, wait, but yeah, so the old band is getting back together. And
Yeah, and there's different kinds, but very similar kinds of work to be done. You know what? I think I may have your contact information, Sam. Is it a 281 number?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And your last name it ends in an E.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, Weeke. Got it. Yeah.
you-
I'll pass it on
And just
to...
out of curiosity, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'll just pass it on so that you know you're on the team again. You weren't ever
All
off the
right.
team, yeah.
All
And
right.
just out of curiosity, y'all are at Caroline near what?
4504
Caroline, just a block south of the 59 elevated,
Oh, okay.
right at the
all I
gateway
needed
to the
to know.
museum district.
That's all I needed. Congratulations. Thank you.
Hey.
Hey, thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
Glad you're back.
Oh, wow, look who's calling. Good old Tag. Hey, I haven't heard from Tag in 2.5 years.
At least.
Tag, how you doing, my friend?
You're it.
You're it.
Great,
Sounds
guys.
like
How are you guys doing?
we're doing fine. Talk to me, Tag.
Just a quick question for Dwayne.
Yes.
Uh-oh. Yes.
Considering we have a new studio in a new IGM,
Mm-hmm.
will you still be responsible for going underneath the floor to get out the dead possums?
You know, I'm hoping that there isn't that under the house space like there was over on Lovett Boulevard. That was such an old house, 1915. This is much newer. It was built in 1930. So I don't think I have that opportunity. But thanks for remembering.
I think I saw a few spaces. So I didn't know you already had that title. So we can do that. Hey, folks, 713-526-5738. Please consider giving us a contribution. In a little bit, I'll give you the book offers again. But for right now, we'll hold. So Tag, what else is going on, buddy?
Well, I just think that in the past, you know, so many people have done so many different things for the station that hopefully there won't be quite as much to do at the new location, and Dwayne won't have to go down and look for things that stink underneath the place.
It was always disturbing when you found something had perished in the walls or underneath KPFT. And, you know, just for guests and for the volunteers coming in, but for those of us who kind of lived there, it was even that much worse.
You smell it all day?
Oh, man.
All day.
So that was it, guys. I think I'm going to go, but have a great day, huh?
Thank you, Tag.
Bye-bye.
You have a good one. Okay, folks, 713-526-5738. Please hit 1 if you want to give a contribution, and then give us a call back and hit 2, and let's get on air. We still have half the show left. Now, one of the things that I always do is, even as we're asking for contributions, I don't like to just have a show with contributions. So I have a short little thing that I want to talk to you guys about here, and it has everything to do with a $158,000. And you tell me about this. $158,000 for a drug, ALS drug. Mm-hmm. If you happen to fall under, if you were unlucky to get ALS, right? The drug company is willing to help you live through that very horrendous disease for $158,000 for the drug.
For how is that $158,000 once? Is it $158,000 a month, every day, every year?
$158,000 every year. But here's a kicker, and this is the thing why we do and speak about the issues we speak about on KPFT. And on the truth on KPFT, because this drug is a combination of 2 old drugs that have all been tested. They're just using them together to alleviate the issues with ALS, and for that, this particular drug company think it warrants $158,000 per year. That is where we are at today. And folks, 713-526-5738. We talk about these issues. We talk about how to solve these issues. Please hit 1 to donate, 2 to talk to us, or remember to go to kpft.org and take advantage of one of the many offers we have. I'll go ahead and name the books in a few, but go ahead.
Well, my reflection on hearing this news is it just reminds me of what an inequitable medical care system we have in these United States. The most undercared for, unless you have the money, populace in all of the civilized countries of the world. We have a terrible system because we have the middlemen who are raking in the money from the insurance companies. So that having to have those gatekeepers of whether or not we're going to get taken care of, and having to pay people in and pay people out is offensive. And when I hear numbers like that, I think of that Scraley guy, the dude who bought the company and then jacked the price of the drug up by 7,000%.
Scraley,
yeah, Martin Scraley, who I hope he's still in jail.
No, he's out.
Yeah. What a system.
But the funny thing about it is he didn't do anything illegal. He just got caught doing other fraudulent things. But what he did with that drug was 100% legal, because that is what our economic system allows.
Because it's legal doesn't mean it's right.
Exactly.
And when I see this $158,000 a year for NALS treatment, I had a dear friend I worked with before my time at KPFT, and he came down with ALS, and I know how debilitating that was for him, and I know how that tore his family up. And I also know that they would have spared no expense to do anything to mitigate
him,
that.
yeah.
So they would have somehow found that $158,000. But is that right? Is that fair?
But let me just say that, folks, 713-526-5738 or go to kpft.org. I tell you what, Dwayne, let me give the book plug for a quick second, and then we'll go back, because you brought up a very important point that I want to touch on,
Okay.
where you talk about his family would have done whatever it took to save him. And that is where we have to save people from their hearts. And that it is a very important concept. But anyway, folks, look, we're offering 3 books under the Politics Done Right domain. The first one is As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. We cover all the issues of patent, which also falls under this story that we're just telling you here. We talk not only about patents, we talk about how the system really screws the average middle-class person and the poor person. We make sure that that you understand how the whole economic system works today. You understand how the economic, in very simple terms. That book is a pledge of $120. Either go to kpft.org, it's listed there, or go to call 713-526-5738 and hit the number 1. Book's called As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. Now, if you, after you've learned about the economy, you want to talk to your neighbors, you want to ensure that your neighbors, that whether they're right-wing or not, that you have the ability to speak to them. The other book is called It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors. Why do you want to do that? You are not going to get change just by one side thinking one way. We have to come together as a society. That is another contribution of $120, 713-526-5738 or kpft.org. And after you've discussed things with your neighbors and you understand how the economy works, it's how are you going to solve the problem? How do you know what to do? How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. That book is also a $120 contribution to, if you call 713-526-5738 or go to kpft.org. Do remember, all of these books stand alone, but together they tell the whole picture. If you get 2 of them, it is a contribution of $200. You get 3 of them, it's a contribution of $250. Call 713-526-5738 or please go to kpft.org. All the combinations in which you can get this is already at our site. Please do so, 713-526-5738, hit number 1, or go to kpft.org. You were talking, you said something so important. You made mention of that family would have done anything to save his life.
Right.
They would have sold their home. They would have taken out an equity, all of that. That would have been sapping their wealth and giving it to somebody else who is undeserving. And here's the thing. The very nature of that, well, personally, on a personal note, I've already told my wife, my kid, everybody else, if there's anything that's requiring that kind of a service from a medical system, I will be saying bye-bye to the earth. I will not allow these folks to destroy, to take my home and leave my family destitute because they have a monopoly on my health. But I make that known myself. Now, the thing about it, Dwayne, is that very few people have maybe told their loved ones that sort of a thing yet, even though that's what they would want. You know, like, why am I going to give $158,000 per year for a life that may be saved a couple months?
Right. And that's putting a big burden on the families. And it's also very uncomfortable to have those discussions. We've had to have that discussion with my dad, who's in his mid-90s. We've had to have these discussions about Mom, who passed away 4 years ago at 90. In her last years, when it was obvious that things were deteriorating and things needed to be buttoned down a little bit.
Right.
Things needed to be organized in their lives to help make taking care of them a little bit easier on everyone. But that is such an added stress to take on top of just the stress of everyday life,
Right.
which we're all burdened with. And some people have the ability to take on $158,000 and it's no big deal. But I would warrant that the vast, vast majority of families who have someone in their family suffering from Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS,
Right.
is probably going to be unduly burdened if they were
Right.
forced to take on $158,000. And not having read that article, I don't know what kind of guarantee of efficacy, what kind of duration that would have, or if that's just simply powdering things over, and maybe they'd be better off just getting a good morphine prescription for the next few
I'm
months.
glad that you said that, because the efficacy isn't, it's not even, there is, yeah, some people have seen some change, but look, I'm an engineer, and I remember that if I was not getting the job done, I would be laid off, I would be fired. But drug companies, they can give you medicines and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. And they pay no consequences. Whatever happened to, if something is supposed to work, it is supposed to work.
Well, and knowing, as you said earlier, that this drug is really just a combination
Two
of
old
two
drugs.
other drugs that have been readily available.
Yes.
Have these people somehow foisted this on us and gotten a patent for something that maybe they maybe not should have been given a patent to have? Is there a way of working around this 158K and finding a way to get people who are in this position the other two things that went into
You're
this
magical.
one company?
You're too darn smart. You're too smart. Because here's the funny thing. Somebody in the background can actually understand the two drugs that these things are made up of. And you know there are drugstores known as compounding drugstores.
Right.
And technically speaking, they could do it. It would be illegal because these guys own the patent for using these together for Lou Gehrig's. And that's what happens. In fact, in the book, as I see it, Class Warfare, the Resort to Right-Wing Doom, I talk about
talk about patent law and how
Right.
it's been abused.
Right. I mean, let's look at Claritin versus Clarinex, right? When Claritin was going out of patent, they brought in Clarinex, had a little change to it, and doctors started prescribing Clarinex that is under patent, and therefore it costs a whole lot more money. And so few people, you know, it's not people's fault. We don't have a media that tells them that, Dwayne, but we have KPFT out here that puts that out.
We do, and there's not enough KPFTs, sadly enough. It's interesting because I watch network television news.
Right.
I record it and I watch it back just to see what the main
Right.
three are saying. What's the priorities to those decision makers? And what I've seen is that television, like radio, is in many degrees a dinosaur technology, and the proof of that is what companies are advertising during national network news. The
Right.
one that my dad watches, the one that I watch, that is going to be drug companies. You know, and ever since they deregulated that whole thing about advertising drugs, saying, "Hey, talk to your doctor to see if Zinjanthropus is right for you," that's all it is. It's a series of those types of geared mainly towards elderly
Yes.
people. And so these are drug ad news shows at this point.
You know, it's interesting that you said that, right? Because I interviewed Tom Hartman, and we were talking about his health. He wrote a book on healthcare, on Medicare, right? And he was showing how Medicare Advantage, and by God, folks, if you already have Medicare Advantage, this is, look, the way it's sold, it's hard not to, right? The companies that sell Medicare Advantage convince the government that Medicare should not cover eyes, teeth, or ears, right? And then Medicaid Advantage gets a 20% premium on average above what Medicare pays, and with that, they provide ears, teeth, and eyes, right?
And a gym membership.
And a gym membership. But here's the kicker, right?
And a bag of chips.
So
Yeah.
you're in this position. If you are an elderly person on a fixed income, that Medicare Advantage, even though they restrict what doctors you can go to and what medicines you can take, it seems like it is a bargain, because the taxpayers are subsidizing the private companies having Medicare Advantage, right? And then if you decide to just go for Medicare, you have to have the rider for your teeth, you have to have the rider for your ears and eyes. it's almost paid off government teaching or paid off by the private sector, telling them how to, privatize Medicare, and when it's all done. But most Americans don't understand what's going on, right? So we do it. How do we solve that problem? I'm going to tell you again, folks. KPFT 90.1 FM. We discuss these things in the type of detail that you're not going to get in regular TV. Right, Dwayne?
Absolutely. 713-526-5738 is the phone number, and this is a call-in hour from noon to 1. Egberto, you're here, Monday, Wednesday, Friday?
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Reverend Dean is here on Tuesday and Thursday, and each hour there is open phone lines at 713-526-5738, which is 526-KPFT, which is also JAM KPFT. So really the only numbers you need to remember, 713, the area code, and then JAM KPFT. When the phone goes through, it'll be answered and you'll be offered two options. One, hit the number 1 and you'll go to the donation center. Mm-hmm. You'll talk to someone there. They'll ask you, hey, would you like to put this on your fantastic plastic? Do you want to put it on Visa, Discover, American Express, MasterCard? Do you want to do cash, check, money order, electronic funds transfer, credit, debit, money, whatever? And how much would you like to do? Would you like to do it as a monthly installment? Would you like that monthly installment to go on indefinitely and thereby make you a sustaining member of KPFT, which I am, and I encourage everyone to be. It gives the station a sense of security to know that there are X hundreds or X thousands of people, each giving 5 or 10 or 50 or whatever the dollar per month amount might be. And we don't want anybody to hurt to help KPFT stay well, just like we don't want anybody getting hurt because they can't afford to see a doctor or have medicine. But we want you to do what's right, and we want you to do what you can. So as a community, we take care of each other. That's what we do here at KPFT, and that's what we hope you do in your family, your extended family, your neighborhood, and your community. So if you honestly can't take care of KPFT, that's fine, because we're hoping someone out there is kind and generous enough to take care of KPFT for you. And then someday you'll be in a position, we hope, to do likewise for someone else who wishes they could but can't. But those of you who can, we would encourage you, we ask you, to do what's right for your community radio station, knowing that it's commercial free. This is not endowed by some university or some religious group. We are the University of the Mind, and we exist wherever you are. We are also the Church of the Blues, but we are the radio station that exists on the FM dial down in the educational sector between between 88 and 92. That's the educational portion of the FM band. And all of the other stations in that, and I've checked them all out, every other one is affiliated with a college or a university, or they're affiliated with a church. So they are, in essence, being subsidized. They are being underwritten by the educational or religious organization. We're the station in the very middle of all that at 90.1 that is between Jazz and Jesus, that is the radio station that does everything that everyone else is scared to do, that they won't do because it's not commercially exploitable. Right. We go into the places that other radio stations are afraid to go into because it's too political, it's too controversial, it's too non-commercial, whatever that might be. We do all that. We have done all that hundreds of times, thousands of times for decades and decades. That's what KPFT's magic is. We are the tapestry of the whole community, woven together. And only together can we do it.
Absolutely. So, I mean, you always come with a new phrase every time we're together. This between Jazz and Jesus.
Take
between it. Between JJ, man. I love that one. Between Jazz and Jesus. I love that. Anyway, folks, 713. Go ahead.
I love jazz. I was listening to an old Dave Brubeck album last night. I've got this old stereo. I had this really cool... It's actually called Jazz Red Hot and Cool, and it's a Dave Brubeck recorded live in Manhattan back in 1954, 1955, and it's a slab of old vinyl, and it's got some cracks and pops on it, but it sounded so good, and it was recorded live, back 60, almost 70 years ago, and it still sounds wonderful. But that's the jazz part of it. Jesus, I love Jesus too. I go to church more often than many people, maybe not as much as others, but I can support jazz and Jesus. But I love
Dwayne,
KPFT.
I know that you're blessed.
I love
Dwayne.
KPFT.
I know you're blessed, Dwayne, okay? I do know that you're blessed. Hey, folks, call 713-526-5738. Please call 713-526-5738. Please hit the number 1 if you want to make a contribution, which we ask you so kindly to do so. Contributions start at $10, and I mean at $40 for a membership, which you can prorate if you want, monthly if you want. But again, also I'm going to do the book offer one last time. Remember, if you want to learn about what ails our economy, how our economy works, please check out, as I see it, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. This particular book teaches you everything you really need to know about understanding this economic system. And of course, after understanding the economic system, you want to talk to your neighbors. You want to have a conversation, whether they're right or left. The other book is It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors. How to talk to your right-wing relative, friends, and neighbors. It's important because we have to talk among each other. After you talk, after you've learned about the economy, you want solutions. You don't just want to talk about problems. You want solutions. How can we work together to make America effectively equitable for us all? Well, how to make America utopia, take away the economy from those who rigged it. You can get each of those books individually for a contribution of $120 to KPFT by going to kpft.org or call in 713-526-5738. Alternatively, you can also get 2 of them for $200, or 3 of them, all 3, for a contribution of $250 to KPFT. Again, you can find that at kpft.org, or simply go to call 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. In the studios with me today is the former manager, former GM of KPFT, Dwayne Bradley. In the house, we also have answering the phones is the one and only Marlo. So thank you guys for being here.
So I was thinking in terms of monthly contributions, Egberto, and because I find it easy, I donate to a fairly large number of organizations, and I find it easy to give $5, $10 a month to a number of different groups that I think do really worthy work. And I hope that you listening out there, dear friend, think that KPFT does worthy work. I know KPFT does, and so I support it with a monthly contribution, several actually. But I looked at that book offer. Okay, that's a great little compendium there. You put those 3 together. $20.83 a month, and that's it.
Yeah,
it's just a little over $20 a month, and you could get those 3 books. That's a wonderful way to do it. I like the installment plan.
Right.
I like just having that regular, because it doesn't bite me all at once. If I had to pay like homeowners insurance,
right,
and suddenly I had to kick in a couple $1,000 all at one time, it's like that hurts.
right.
But if I can do a monthly installment of $20, that's pretty smooth. That's an easy thing that most people can handle. And if $20 a month is too steep, it may be, then maybe 10 a month, maybe 5 a month. You can become a member legally under the bylaws of Pacifica. You're legally a voting member of the foundation, a stockholder, if you will, a shareholder in the corporation, so to speak, for $25.
Right.
$25 is the legal minimum to be a voting member. One of the people who elect our boards of directors, who are the people who will select the managers and all of that. It's an important role that you play as a member of KPFT. Those of you who can afford to financially contribute at the level of $25 a year or more. That's a little over $2.
Yeah.
Just $2 and change per month. That would be a wonderful thing. That, $2.08. Okay, that adds up when thousands of people give it each month.
Exactly.
And those who can do 20 a month, that's great. If you could do 50 a month, kudos.
What I tell people a whole lot, right, is many people don't have a problem going into a Starbucks or going into a coffee shop and getting one drink several times a week for $15, or not 15, but $7 or $8 or whatever. We're asking, make us one of those things that you don't mind doing. Once a month. Can you give us a couple of coffees once a month?
Right.
And that even if it means, in my case, good minds think alike. I just like you. I contribute small donations to a whole lot of different organizations because I think. And it's more because you feel a certain responsibility for all the people that are out there doing this work. In the case of KPFT, we have so many people that are working very hard to keep this stuff doing. You are using your time right now to come out and help us raise money. All these folks that are in here right now are all volunteers. So I think I don't think it's. And if you're listening to me here, more than like you like our station, so I think asking you to give us a coffee or two a month, or 3 or 4 coffees a month, I think it's worth it. And you know what? I tell you something. It makes you feel better because it makes you feel like you're a part of doing something positive for society. It makes you feel better. And so give us a call, 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Or go to kpft.org to ensure that we can get all these things that we need to get done.
And that's the community aspect of it. We do this together. We can't do this without you. This is a community effort. This is a community radio station. You are a part of the community simply by finding it and tuning in. And we're asking you to take that one extra step beyond just the tuning in and saying, hey, I'm a member of the community, I'm listening. That's great. I'm asking you to go one beyond just listening. Make a contribution to the cause of conscious communication. 713-526-5738, 713-526-KPFT. Let us know you're there. Let us know you care. Let us know that you want this on the air. I think it's only fair. So whatever it is you've got to spare, let us know you're there.
You did it. I earlier I was going to ask you, there was this phrase that you always used, and it was missing. I know you have to be walking and talking and all of that, but
it's very different to sit in a chair and just talk. I'm used to walking around with a long mic cord.
Yes,
I'll walk out into the backyard and go all
Those
over
were
the
the
place.
days in that old house with a long mic over the ceiling, and normally we had pizzas down there too, but right now we don't even have that. Right, we're just started, man. We don't even have the kitchen built.
We don't even
yet.
have a coffee
Nothing.
yet.
We don't even have coffee yet.
A radio station runs on coffee and people's power.
But it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Folks, we are almost...
Shout out to Lola Savannah Coffee because for over 15 years, 30 pounds of coffee beans donated every month, and a pump pot system and a grinder system.
Absolutely.
And, I'm hoping to find another.
So, folks, give us a call, 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Or go to kpft.org, kpft.org. Because, folks, we cannot do this without you. Get our books. Become a member at $40 or $25 for just Pacifica. Get one of the books, or many of the books are $120 each. $200 for the 2 books, or $250 for 3 books. Folks, we want you to help us make this thing go. It can happen because of you. This is community radio. This is what it's all about. This is how you make a difference in your community. This is how you make a difference in your city, your county, your state, your country, by being able to support independent media that's going to be here to tell you the truth. In closing, I want to thank the former manager of KPFT, former GM of KPFT, Dwayne Bradley.
It's my pleasure to be here, Egberto. Thanks for doing what you do.
We have to work together. My name is Egberto. This is Politics On. We are going in ready to do one thing that's very, very special, and to say, we are very much out.
Stay tuned for Growing Up America with Dr. Bob Sanborn on 90.1 KPFT FM